Half a month ago. My husband Ethan rolled over in bed, his hand casually resting on my lower abdomen. This unconscious gesture instantly jolted me awake. Earlier that evening during my regular girls' night out with Emily, I'd drunk heavily while my best friend Emily had abstained using antibiotics as an excuse. Our night felt incomplete when we left the whiskey bar, debating where to go next until a familiar silver Porsche Panamera with matte wrap caught my eye in the valet circle, conspicuously flashy despite being the cheapest luxury car present. "Isn't that the Panamera you gave Ethan?" Emily's voice carried too loudly, forcing me to pull her into the vehicle's blind spot. A valet attendant emerged from the driver's seat. "I'd gifted this car to Ethan 2 birthdays ago, not newly purchased. Just my cast-off when I grew bored of it. Back when Ethan was that prideful scholarship student. He'd initially refused the extravagant present, making our entire charity gala entourage uncomfortable. Now watching his styled hair and designer streetwear emerge from the club entrance, I tasted bitter irony. Before my anger subsided, a surgically enhanced influencer type trailed behind him, theatrically skipping to clasp Ethan's hand. They disappeared into the Porsche like some trashy reality show scene. "Damn. That's bold." Emily snorted. "Lives off your money. Started that production company with your funds. Now cheats in your face? You're just watching?" "Oh, I'll watch," I replied coldly. "I want front row seats watching the dog I turned human crawl back to the gutter." Ethan entered my life 3 years younger at a college reunion. A mutual friend brought him, gushing about the hardworking film intern in his crew. "Emma, check out this puppy dog, eyes hottie, totally your type," my friend stage whispered. Truthfully, I'd already noticed Ethan's 6'2" frame filling the doorway, his counterfeit designer clothes somehow looking authentic on that farm boy turned model bone structure. His nervous fidgeting under my appraisal only amplified the charm. Now every memory became poison. The husband I'd meticulously polished through 4 years of etiquette coaches and stylists now betrayed me through this crude, amateurish affair barely 3 months married. My investment in him curdled into pure hatred. Each squandered dollar another weight crushing my chest. "What now?" Emily asked cautiously during our drive home. "Divorce? Or give him another chance? You've been together 4 years. Of course I'll give chances." My laugh held no humor. "Let him keep digging deeper. I want every penny repaid with interest." Emily stayed silent but side-eyed me. Our decade-long friendship survived precisely because she remained my sole working-class confidant, the brutally honest voice I needed. She'd vehemently opposed my marriage, insisting Ethan only wanted my trust fund. Tonight proved her right. Returning to our mansion past midnight, I found Ethan waiting with herbal soup. "Our housekeeper made this for your hangover," he chided gently. "Emily didn't drink?" Meanwhile my wife staggers home wasted like some college kid. "How'd you know I was with Emily?" I froze. "I saw you two leaving the bar earlier." He shrugged, embracing me. "That girl tonight? Just some wannabe actress investors forced on me. You know how these starlets throw themselves at producers." His wounded puppy expression almost convinced me. "Fine. Your move." I cut him off. "Let's sleep." But suspicion had taken root. Lying beside him, I replayed the club scene until dawn. At 3 a.m., I finally checked his phone's spotless call logs, texts, payment records. Ethan was too clever for obvious trails. Had I misjudged him? As drowsiness finally came, Ethan rolled over, hand instinctively cradling my stomach. The tender gesture froze my blood. He'd done this throughout my first pregnancy. Except our baby had died at 12 weeks. Now that touch could only mean one thing: he'd gotten someone else pregnant. Next morning, Ethan left early for work after kissing me goodbye. I smiled through his performance, already planning mine. At the breakfast table, I clutched my coffee cup until the liquid turned cold, unable to take even a sip. After the initial grief came endless resentment. And through the clarity of rage, I faced the bitter truth. I'd spent 4 years molding Ethan from that naive, rebellious college kid into a counterfeit aristocrat with wealth and confidence, all to present my father with a worthy son-in-law and secure my future. Funding his production company aimed to shield him from gold digger accusations. Yet mere months after our wedding, he'd already strayed. The betrayal burned like bile in my throat. Divorce wouldn't cleanse this disgust. I wanted Ethan destroyed, dragged back to his origins and buried deeper in the muck. My phone dialed before conscious thought formed. Big buy. Get me Luna's contact. No questions. Luna had nearly stolen my ex years ago during our rocky final days. Though she'd ultimately been discarded after 3 years by her wealthy beau, her recent social media resurgence showed she remained hungry. When she glided into Sushi Tong in Sanlitun wearing 6-inch stilettos, her surgically perfected features momentarily stunned me. This living Venus would make any man salivate and any woman seethe with envy. Maintaining this looks costs money, I stated without preamble, watching her adjust diamond-crusted sunglasses. High society's revolving door demands constant investment. Her crimson lips curved. Unlike your silver spoon existence, I earn every luxury. Then let's make a deal. I detailed Ethan's fabricated persona, the controlling abuser needing exposure. Succeed quickly, and you'll be compensated handsomely. Whatever happens afterward stays between you two. Luna's laughter tinkled like champagne flutes. Darling, this is what I breathe for. Weeks passed as Ethan buried himself in launching his production company. Increasingly, borrowing our Bentley for mysterious meetings. When he unexpectedly came home early one night, all tender caresses and whispered endearments, I stopped his roaming hands. Not tonight, honey. His subsequent car shopping request proved perfect. At the Maybach dealership, I watched coldly as he preened before the sales staff, until Luna's entrance shifted all attention. Her strategic questions about the S-Class made him puff up like a peacock. Taste recognizes taste, she purred, trailing manicured fingers along the hood. As I excused myself, Ethan's eyes tracked her retreating figure like a compass needle finding north. The text arrived as I reapplied lipstick his friend request with, Want to test drive my new toy? My bitter chuckle echoed in the marble restroom. This pathetic man I'd sculpted from clay now thought himself a god. Emily nearly cracked her latte cup when I explained the car financing scheme. You're still funding his midlife crisis? I exhaled clove-scented smoke. He used company funds for the down payment. The loans under Clark Productions. Her outraged gasp made me smile. Relax. When the repo men come, they'll take everything but the shirt on his back. The sunset painted blood orange streaks across my office windows as I reviewed Luna's latest update. Ethan had booked a business retreat in Napa Valley. My fingers hovered over the burner phone containing his real-time location data. Soon, my love. The higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. Marriage truly changes a person, smoothing out even the sharpest edges of personality. Emily looked at me with pity in her eyes, snatching the cigarette from my fingers and crushing it in the ashtray. During the month-long wait for my new car, Ethan hadn't been idle. He'd been dating Luna under various pretenses. Luna proved herself a master manipulator, employing coy refusals and meaningful silences with such finesse that Ethan became utterly besotted, nearly slipping up in front of me multiple times. Every detail of their rendezvous, including the nauseating sweet nothings he whispered to Luna, found its way to me through my network. Is your husband starved for affection at home? Luna taunted during our latest meeting, her barb cutting deeper than she knew. The man who shared my bed resembled not a married gentleman but rather a naive schoolboy in matters of the heart. Her words struck like a slap across years of marital pretense. Yet throughout this month, he'd never scheduled meetings with me on Tuesdays or Saturdays. Luna mused aloud. Tuesday evenings are his yoga nights, and Saturday afternoons he visits his parents with you. Shouldn't Tuesdays be his free days? The memory of Ethan's warm palm resting possessively on my abdomen during sleep flashed through my mind. his touch instinctively finding its mark even in slumber. Watching my darkening expression, Luna offered an angelic smile. Following my instructions, she soon persuaded Ethan to take her to the new water park on a Tuesday. Despite Luna's bikini-clad figure glistening before him, Ethan grew distracted as 3 o'clock approached, abruptly claiming work obligations to cut their date short. My taxi trailed his luxury car to a prestigious private maternity hospital. Through the tinted windows, I watched Ethan's baseball cap pulled low escort a familiar silhouette inside. Tremors racked my body as recognition dawned. The woman was Emily, my confidant of 15 years. The betrayal burned hotter than I'd imagined, each puzzle piece snapping into place. Emily's sudden sobriety, Ethan's uncharacteristic boldness that night, the extinguished cigarette. The taxi driver's concerned gaze met mine as I forcibly composed myself. The tsunami of revelations should have shattered me. Yet my mind crystallized around one glacial purpose: they'd pay in kind for this treachery. Luna appeared startled when summoned to my estate, but the covetous gleam in her eyes as she traversed the garden told me she'd play her part. "Do you admire this lifestyle?" I inquired, pouring premium oolong. "Did you invite me just to flaunt your privileged birth?" She retorted, her disdain music to my ears. "Every object here could be yours," I offered, "provided you make Ethan pay through professional entanglements. Sign with his agency as his starlet, parade as his muse. Let the paparazzi feast on rumors." Luna toyed with a crystal figurine. "A transactional partnership then. You fund my future. I'll deliver value." The shrewd social climber added, "My only non-negotiable? Birth control." Her smile faltered. "I'll never let pregnancy defile me again." The admission slipped out. 3 terminated pregnancies had left her infertile. Collateral damage from her previous failed attempt at marrying wealth. Days later, Ethan proudly announced Luna's signing during an investor meeting, waving development plans like sacred texts. "I'll cover any budget overruns personally," he declared, blind to the room's stunned silence. While he played visionary producer, Luna curated her Instagram persona from her luxury high-rise. Their synchronized ambition almost admirable. Gossip blogs soon buzzed about Luna's mysterious benefactor. Ethan's amateurish attempts at discretion crumbled under my strategic leaks to tabloids. Their forced proximity exceeded even my expectations. He began missing Emily's prenatal appointments. When Emily finally reappeared for tea, her loose dress couldn't conceal the pregnancy. "Beware that actress he's grooming," she cautioned between forced smiles. "Should I fret over every starlet?" I laughed, noting her swollen ankles. "Let's play badminton." Her hand flew protectively to her abdomen. "The heat's unbearable," she demurred. I sipped my scalding tea, imagining it splashing across her deceitful face. Their reckoning would come, but not through crude violence. On the eve of Ethan's film project launch, I met Luna at our usual spot. Her eyes glittered at the bank transfer displayed on my phone, a sum to make Judas blush. "Tomorrow's red carpet will be unforgettable," I promised, sliding the envelope across the table. The press credentials inside guaranteed front row seats to the couple's unraveling. Luna's laughter rang bright and hollow as she pocketed both bribe and evidence, our reflections warping in the tea shop's gilded mirrors. She opened the paper bag and glanced inside before closing it calmly, as if seeing nothing. "I want to raise the price." "Fine," I smiled. "On top of this transfer, I'll add the same amount again." Luna looked startled by my decisiveness. "Is he really worth that much?" Thinking of what would happen next, I couldn't help grinning. "Absolutely. Compared to the emotional and financial losses I've suffered, this is pocket change." Luna studied me thoughtfully for a long moment without speaking. "Relax. We're in this together now. I'm not stupid enough to let anything happen to you that might implicate me." After a few seconds, Luna smiled faintly, picked up the paper bag and bank card, and left the restaurant. I sat dazed for several minutes before calling Emily. "Darling, Come with me to Ethan's launch event tomorrow. We're going to catch him in the act. The next day's event proved more extravagant than I'd imagined. Swarming with prominent media figures. Ethan had schemed endlessly for this moment's success would cement him as an independent entrepreneur, making the grand spectacle unavoidable. When I met Emily in the backstage green room, her pregnancy bulge had become impossible to conceal. Fury radiated from her like heat waves. "Emma! That bastard husband of yours really is screwing that little slut. I'll tear them apart today." Her rage exceeded even my expectations. Perfect. Feigning outrage. I agreed. "Yes. We'll humiliate them publicly. Guard this exit while I handle the front." The security room housed only an elderly guard. Flashing my staff pass, I politely gifted him a carton of cigarettes, sending him off happily to indulge. Seizing the moment, I plugged in the external drive. Nothing special, just preserving certain memorable moments. On stage, staff placed bottled water before the panelists. Luna smiled graciously while subtly repositioning a bottle in front of Ethan, who remained oblivious in his self-absorbed trance. Facing the media's barrage of cameras, Ethan delivered his speech with polished composure. Yet his apparent competence only magnified my own humiliation. During a Q&A lull, Ethan finally gulped several mouthfuls from the bottle. Backstage, Emily paced like a caged tiger, muttering curses at the air, watching these split-screen absurdities through the monitors. Anticipation prickled my scalp. In 10 minutes, Ethan began fidgeting restlessly. 5 minutes later, he loosened his tie and drained the bottle. But the more he drank, the more parched he became and the more desperate. Stumbling to his feet, Ethan lurched toward backstage, as others continued politely engaging reporters. Confused investors watched his strange exit without intervention. The moment Ethan entered the green room, Emily launched herself at him. After brief exchanged shouts, Ethan pinned her against the vanity. She struggled weakly against his drug-fueled strength. Watching Ethan rat on my best friend like a stray dog, Emily initially muffling her cries, I felt fleeting pity. But remembering their cruelty, compassion dissolved. The drug had transformed Ethan into pure predator. When the guard returned, he gaped at the monitors for 10 full seconds before fumbling for his phone. They, should I call the police? On screen, Emily's face contorted in agony. Dark fluid trickled down her legs as she slid limply off the vanity. Her anguished scream erupted through the event's PA system, freezing journalists mid-question. Luna's mocking gaze found the security camera, her derision piercing through the screen to vacuum the air from my lungs. I ejected the drive and headed toward the erupting chaos. Luna had already vanished with the passport and plane ticket I'd prepared. En route to the airport, the remaining scene unfolded like hell's carnival shrieks. Flash bulbs, and Ethan's canine howls of pleading merging into euphoric floodwaters. Parting the crowd, I approached the naked figure kneeling in blood. Emily lay unconscious in the crimson pool, bystanders performing CPR while others dialed 911 or snapped photos. Ethan trembled like a meth addict, reeking of miscarriage blood, babbling incoherently. Spotting me, his expression cycled through shock, hope, and madness before he lunged. "Wife! Save me!" The once dashing entrepreneur had become gutter trash before hundreds of witnesses. I caressed his head like a devoted spouse, whispering tenderly, "Ethan, why don't you just die?" The next day, Ethan's scandal dominated both entertainment and news headlines. Tabloids spun lurid tales of the wealthy girl he'd manipulated, the affair, and the pregnant woman he'd savaged. Some embellishments even impressed this first-hand witness. Police traced traces of illicit drugs in Ethan's system, but their investigation only led to the water bottle Luna had placed before him. But Luna was already vacationing on some nameless European island, hunting for her next catch. The trail went cold, but Ethan would forever bear the stain of his crimes. When I next saw Ethan, we were separated by prison glass. I slid the divorce papers through the partition. The unshaven man who'd aged a decade in months kept his head bowed, vacant eyes avoiding both me and the documents. Emma, I'm sorry. I never understood. I said, staring at the shell before me. How anyone could be this monumentally stupid. Retrieving the unsigned papers. I slid on my sunglasses and walked out of the penitentiary. My next stop was the hospital room where Emily lay recovering from her lover-induced miscarriage. The pale figure staring blankly out the window could have been Ethan's twin in emptiness. The moment I entered, her eyes blazed with venomous recognition. Hatred? Oh, we were well acquainted with that emotion. You must wonder why I did this. I said, arranging premium health supplements beside her bed with surgical precision. I used to wonder too. Now, my smile could have frosted the foredrip. Strangers' lives stopped being my concern. Rich bitch! She spat through cracked lips. Everything's handed to you while we claw for scraps. I loved him. You loved a man who sold himself to the highest bidder. I laughed. Genuine amusement warming my voice. Resting a hand on her still flat abdomen. I murmured, save your strength, darling. You'll need it to breed another bastard for your jailbird lover. Emily thrashed weakly as nurses rushed in. I exited to my phone's notification chime. Luna had sent a sunset-drenched beach photo from her tropical hideaway.